The next shot that you're going to want to take is what the property looks like when you walk through the front door. What is that prospective home buyer going to be seeing when they walk in the door? The next shot you're going to want to take is a shot of the entryway. Always keep in mind as we're going forwards that you work from top to the bottom and from the right to the left. It's important that you do this because this is going to allow the people in your office to fill out your BPO the same way every time. It'll also keep your field crew from missing any repairs or problems with the property. What you need to remember when you're running your BPO is that you need to run this property the way it flows. If you walk into a house and there are bedrooms immediately off the entryway and that's the best way it feels, then that's the way you need to shoot the property. It's very important that way you always know what room was what, because after you've ran 10 or 15 properties in a day, you're not going to remember which room was which. Once again, as we begin shooting rooms, you need to adhere to the policy of top, bottom, right to left. This will make sure that you shoot every room the same over and over and over again. Make sure your first shot is what the room looks like as you enter it. Now that you've shot what the room looks like coming into it, your next picture should be from this corner here, shooting the room in this direction. The next picture you're going to want to take in this room is standing in this corner of the room, shooting this way. That allows you to see the door coming into the bedroom as well as the closet doors. Now you see the shot you're looking at. When you're in this, while you're here, you need to make sure you shoot a picture showing that the closets are empty. These are the pictures that your asset managers are going to be looking for. Also, while you're here, make sure you check the closets for damage. It sounds kind of silly, but you never know where that water leak is going to be. And before you leave, the last shot you need to make sure you have is check the back of the door. You never know when somebody's going to have a hole in it or when there's going to be damage in the sheetrock behind it, usually caused by the doorknob. When you find sheetrock damage in a property, one of the most important things you can do is give your asset manager an idea of how big the damage is. There's a couple of ways you can do this. My technique is just to put your hand on either side of the hole. That way they have something to reference the size of that hole to. When you're shooting a large room like this, keep in mind, once again, it's top, bottom, right to left. What we're looking at here is we're looking for any damage that may be in the property. When you do this, make sure you shoot every room from a minimum of 4 different angles. That way your asset manager has a complete view of the room. In the future, this could be the pictures that keep you out of court if somebody comes back and says you took their property illegally. Once again, we're looking for a full view of every room. Don't forget to take 4 shots of every room from 4 different angles. This will protect you. Here's the angle coming in from the far corner of the room, looking back towards the kitchen. This allows you to see some of the architectural details of the property, including the breakfast bar, the ceiling fan, and the windows looking out onto the back porch. Even though some of these pictures may seem redundant, it's important that you have them. That allows you to almost run your BPO by the pictures that your field guys take when they're on the property. It'll make it so much easier if you have to go back because you have a question about a particular property than if you want to run back out there 15 or 20 miles from your office just to figure out if there was vinyl or wood flooring in the kitchen. When you have a stain on the carpeting, it's important that you let your asset manager know in a picture how big that is. What we usually do is put our foot next to the stain so that we have something to reference it by. Then we shoot the shot from above. Here we are again in the eating space directly off the kitchen. We are using the top-bottom, left-to-right method. That way we don't miss any repairs or damages to the property. This will make our BPO that much stronger. Here we are at the back door directly off the eating space. While we're here, there's something I'd like to show you. You need to be sure that you check for rotted door frames when you're here. If you carry a pocket knife, it's easiest to check and make sure the door frame's not rotted. A lot of times this is an issue, especially on some of the newer homes where they're using lower grade product. Here we are in the kitchen. You want to shoot this from at least 2 to 3 angles using the top, bottom, left, right method. You want to make sure that you have all of your appliances. You want to make sure that they appear to be in good working order. We're not by any way, stretch of the imagination, an appliance person, but if they look like they are probably in pretty good condition, they probably work. Keep in mind that somebody used to live in this house, so they probably work. You also want to make sure that the cabinet's open and that there's no damage to them as you're going through the property. You should open every cabinet and take a picture proving that there's nothing left in them. When you're looking under the sink, there's a couple of things you want to be checking on. First, you want to make sure there's a garbage disposal in place. 2, when you're looking at the drain lines, you want to make sure that there's no black mold around these couplings, because that's a good indicator that you've got leaking. Then you want to make sure that there's no signs that water has deteriorated the pressboard cabinetry. In this case, you can see that there actually was. While you're in the kitchen, you've checked the cabinetry, and now you're looking at appliances. You want to make sure that the cabinets, that the door's open, that there's no damage to the unit. While you're here, determine whether or not it's a gas stove or an electric stove. Put those into your BPO. Then open it up and make sure that it's at least moderately clean. As you can see, when the cabinets are open, you have a pretty good indicator that there's nothing been left. You're going to do this 2 different times. One, when you initially take possession of the property, showing and protecting yourself that there's nothing been left in this home by the former homeowner. The second time you take this picture is when your trash out crew has come through and cleaned the property out. These are the pictures that protect REO brokers and make sure their asset managers know that we're doing our jobs. What we're looking at is where the appliances plug in into the utility room. You want to make sure that the water to the washer and dryer is shut off. You also want to make sure that your property management or property preservation company caps any gas lines so that you don't have to worry about a gas leak in the future. If you're wondering how you know when the gas is shut off, the handle will run this way against the pipe running this way. If it was turned upright, you would have gas actually on to this pipe. Also, in the wintertime, you want to make sure that you winterize your properties. If you do that, you'll want to put up a sign like this that says the house has been winterized. And that way, agents coming in and people looking at the house won't turn the water on because all the valves should be open. Welcome to the master bedroom. You're going to hear me say this over and over and over again. But what you want to remember is top to bottom, right to left, as you look at any property. That way you do not miss any repairs or damage to the rooms you're looking at. Okay, you're looking at the master bedroom from the other side. As I said previously, don't forget to look behind the doors for any possible damage that there might be. In this case, we're looking good. When you're in the master bathroom, this is a place where we have a lot of water damage, and we can even have the dreaded M word, mold. You want to make sure you look under the sinks. You're looking for loose pipe fittings. You're wanting to make sure the faucets are in good condition and that there's no staining to the countertops. As you can see under here, you can check the piping and make sure there's no damage. In a bathroom, you want to make sure that this drain mechanism right here is functioning and intact. This is what actually stops the drain up. Once again, you also want to make sure that there's no black mold around the couplings on the drain lines. When you're shooting a shower, you want to make sure that it's clean. You want to make sure there's no mildew in the caulking or the grout lines. And when you get a shower head like this, you usually will replace this. This is about a $15 or $20 fix, and it doesn't look like this when you're done. Closet space is very important to most homeowners. If you notice this light, it actually needs a glass globe on it. That would be one of the things that you might miss if you're not using the top-down, right-to-left method of inspection. Look what we found. We found the globe. Sometimes they'll be left in the property. Sometimes your property preservation company will take these off so that they can put the light bulb in the socket, but they won't replace them. Here in the bathroom, there are a couple of things you need to look at. We always replace the seat and the lid. Another important thing to do is to check and make sure that the bolts holding the toilet are firmly attached. You can do this by shaking the tank left and right. If you push against it with your leg and it moves, then you've got a problem. This is an easy fix that a plumber or usually a handyman can get taken care of for you, but it will show up when they do an inspection on the property. While we're here in the attic, there's a few things you're going to want to look at. One of the most important is the air conditioning unit. You're not by any stretch of the imagination an AC repair person, but you can at least check and make sure the unit is here and be sure you take a picture of it so that your asset manager can see what condition it's in. Here's some of the other things we look for while we're in the attic. If you'll notice here, the gas vent line going through the roof decking has come apart. We've got the documentation by the gas company showing we need to get this fixed. This is the kind of issues that we take care of as REO brokers. The other thing that you're going to want to look at while you're here is you want to make sure that your hot water heater hasn't rusted. If you can see the corrosion around the top of this, you will see we are going to call for a new hot water heater. This is in very poor condition. The sad part about this is this house was built in 2006. When you're shooting a garage, you want to also look for damage here as well. Keep in mind that the garage is part of the house, and if you have sheetrock damage, you need to call that because it is a fire hazard to the family that could be living in the home. So here we are. Now that you've learned how to shoot pictures for your BPO, there are a couple of things we want to remind you of. 1, remember to shoot top, bottom, left to right. 2, go through the house the way it feels natural. When you run your BPO, follow it exactly the way you took your pictures. That way they'll always match up. This should be a fairly simple process for you, and after 2 or 3 houses, it becomes second nature.